sa Facebook.
Hello.
Make make your background daw yung parang globe backdrop.
Okay. Okay, good morning, everyone. I'd like to first officially welcome you all. I think we have about 500 and expecting a lot more throughout the session. I'd like to welcome you all to today's e-Skwela session. Making homes the extended classroom, which is all about creating parent-teacher collaboration during COVID-19. My name is Miguel Bermundo. I am the head of corporate social responsibility in Globe, and I will be your host for today. Today's session will be an hour of discussion with 4 very interesting guests that we've helped assemble for you. And the flow of the session, just to be guided, will be very straightforward. There will be 2 main parts. The first is the discussion proper, where we will go through a few questions on the topic for each of the panelists to answer directly and to also help jumpstart a nice dialogue around the topic. The second part is a Q&A from the audience, and I think this is something you all will be looking forward to. So all viewers are most certainly free and encouraged to post their questions through the live feed. We have a team on the back end to help us filter out the best questions that can help contribute to today's discussion. As we are expecting a lot of participants today, do note that not all questions could be answered and addressed live, but if you would like to still ask a question after the session, you may post a reply on Facebook on this feed, and we'll try our best to provide a response from the speakers session. So with that, let's begin and meet your panelists. To introduce the first speaker and to start, the first panelist is a product of the public school system, having completed primary schooling in Tarlac and secondary schooling in Pangasinan. Both of his parents were also public school teachers. He finished civil engineering in Adamson University as a multi-awarded graduate, representing the country in the World Youth Congress in Russia. He served in government as an assistant secretary of the National Anti-Poverty Commission and as Chief Political Affairs Officer for Senator Panfilo Lacson. He is also a very accomplished photographer and writer. In 2016, he was appointed as the Deputy Undersecretary, where he now supervises Administrative Service, the Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Service, the ICT Service, the Education Facilities Division, School Building Program, the Bureau of Learner Support Services, covering youth formation, school sports and health, and even the Baguio Teachers Camp and other properties of DepEd. I can keep on going, but I think I need to introduce you now, sir. I'd like to proudly welcome as our first panelist, Yusek Elaine Pascua of the Department of Education. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Uh, okay. Let me move to the next speaker. Our next panelist is the co-founder and chief operations officer of Taxumo Inc., a tax compliance software as a service company. Their services helps reduce anxiety that is related to tax computation, tax filing and payment for sole proprietors, professionals, and other self-employed individuals. She is also the CEO of Manila Workshops, an event management company that focuses on learning events. She is also the professional blogger behind mommyginger.com, a parenting and business blog. I'd like to welcome our second speaker, Ginger Arboleda. Good morning, Ginger. I'm going to go through the others. Our third panelist holds a master's degree in business administration and a bachelor's degree in commerce, both from De La Salle University. She is currently a campaign and communication strategist for Globe Telecom. Behind her is 18 years of extensive consumer marketing and brand management experience, handling global and local market leader brands. While she works as a marketing professional by day, she remains to be a very hands-on mom of two. She is very active in both her children's schools, La Salle and St. Paul Pasig, as a parent officer in both. Her personal advocacy is to educate, inspire, empower moms of all backgrounds. This advocacy led her to start an online mommy community last year called Fab Inay. Fab Inay's thrust is to build a community where moms respect each other's choices, where moms develop and depend on each other without judgment, and grow together in their motherhood journey. I'd like to welcome Mitch Peralta. Good morning, Mitch. And lastly, our fourth speaker is an English Studies language alumnus of the University of the Philippines in Diliman. He obtained his teaching qualifications on language teaching, technology integration at the University of Colorado Boulder. He holds a professional development certificate on bilingualism and language and literacy studies at the Graduate School of Education, Harvard University. He has taught and trained learners of different levels and has presented research papers on his various expertise. He now leads the education vertical of Globe My Business. I'd like to welcome Mark Abalos. Good morning, Mark. And good morning, everyone, again, and all the hundreds of viewers for today. I think we all know why we are here today. These are definitely uncertain times, and I assert that many watching and listening today are looking for guidance on how effective learning and child development can continue to take place in an environment with a continued suspension of classes, which can leave many parents and the public feeling very uncertain. And perhaps this is a good place to start with a question. So, which I think I'd like to start with Ginger. Ginger, we had a nice chat a few days ago, so I was able to get to know you a little more. As a mom of a 7-year-old, I believe, what has the quarantine been like for you and your family? All right, I think she's on mute. Can we unmute her?
There. You
There.
hear me now? Hi.
Yeah. Hi, Ginger.
Good
Say
morning.
that
Good
again.
morning to all of the panelists and good morning to all of the viewers today. So to answer your question, it's been challenging and quite a unique experience for us, no, for me and my daughter Zika. So Zika's classes are still ongoing because their classes will end this May. I think for a lot of schools, they've already stopped their classes, siguro no March pa, no? So a lot of the things that we've been doing the past few weeks was really adjusting our schedule to the schedule of the school, adjusting it also because I'm a work from home mom and I am sure a lot of parents who are watching this are. So we had to like juggle time management also, like for our schedule as parents, our schedule for our work, and also the schedule of our daughter, you know. Another thing, siguro, another struggle that we're having right now is really knowing how to come in, at least like for some of the tools that were mandated for us to use. We know a lot of these tools and we've used them already for our own businesses. But for Zika, it's another thing. Like we need to teach her on how to really use Zoom and all of these applications that the school required of us to use. So that's another thing. So that schedule, those are tools. Another thing we've seen also are the teachers. Some of the teachers now struggle also in learning all of these tools that they were possibly mandated to use by the school as well. So it takes really it takes a learning curve. There's a learning curve to learning all of these tools and all of these applications as well. Not only for the students but also for the teachers. Another thing is that right now, since everything is done at home, so we need to teach Zika like this is the time for working or studying. This is the time for playing. And of course, she misses her classmates. So that's another thing that was like sort of not in the picture right now. She misses like talking to her friends, playing with her friends. So yeah, it has been like quite challenging, but I think we can do it.
Yeah, and you mentioned that school is, at least alternative schooling is still ongoing, and we'd love to hear from Yusek Elaine later. I'm sure a lot of our viewers will have a lot of questions for him. But if I may go to you, perhaps you could also weigh in on what Jella shared and what you would say are the sentiments of other fellow parents as an active parent member in the parent associations of your school.
It was a bad school year for us because we've encountered calamities, typhoons, and then there's the SEA Games. So there's a lot of days where children missed school. So there were a lot of catching up. So when this happened, it was fortunate in a way because we were kind of used to having homeschooled activities. So there were learning management systems that the school actually uses for both LaSalle and for St. Paul, where we can refer to in terms of activities that we can do for the kids in school, or for the kids at home. So there are daily activities that we're supposed to follow. It was also fortunate that by the time the pandemic happened, it's almost a week or two before the school closes. So it's almost the end of the school year for us. So na-miss lang nila their final exam. So konti na lang. So right now, what we do is we engage into home activities. So I make worksheets for them. I make their activity books that they do, and then sometimes I enroll them into online classes that they can watch. Because I have two kids, one 7 and one 4-year-old. So very different the way I have to teach the older one with the younger one. The younger one she's more into singing pa and dancing and arts. The older one, though he likes those things, medyo kailangan may academics na rin involved into teaching him while at home.
Right. And thanks for that. And I think we heard from two very hands-on parents. And immediately there are already some differences in the way this transition period is perceived. Yusek Elaine, good morning. It's really an honor to have you. I know it's a very busy time for you, so we really appreciate your time and insights here. To what our two super moms have shared so far, what is in the public school sector? What is the sentiment of parents in general, and what are the challenges you've observed for educators also at this time?
Maybe the first sentiment of the parents at the moment that ang tanong nila dyan, tuloy ba ang graduation? Yan yung una nilang tinatanong dahil importante ang graduation. So tinatanong nila, tuloy ba ang graduation at kailan ito? So actually, the answer of the department is that the graduation is postponed for the meantime. We'll have to undertake it later on if circumstances would change. And if the situation would warrant to have a graduation, then the schools will have their own graduation at that time. But at the moment, we have postponed graduation. So, ang pangalawang tanong naman nila ngayon ay, kailan po ba ang school opening? O sa June ba o at a later date? No? That subject matter is being discussed now by the DepEd. We are now discussing whether to start it on June or maybe to move it on July or August. So, tuloy-tuloy pa yung discussion dyan. Everything is being dictated by what is happening in Metro Manila and in other parts of the country. And everything would depend on how we contain COVID-19 and how we would undertake measures, precautionary measures on how to address this thing.
Right, sir, and what would you say are the sentiments of teachers? Because parents as well are educators. What about the educators themselves?
Well, actually sa educators ganun din eh. It's the same concern. They would want to bring up is graduation and then school opening. We have already made some adjustments on their work after school, their what they call this, their computation of grades, their examinations online or examinations based on whatever they have undertaken for before the quarantine came up. Nagkaroon na yan, diniscuss na lahat na yan, inayos na rin natin yan, and what they can do sa mga bahay nila na hindi na pumupunta sa office. So, ang concern nila is same concern as the parents and their learners. Although, ang additional pa dyan is that ang isang tinitingnan nila is will they volunteer when the local government units call up kasi medyo nahihirapan na yung mga local government units pagdating sa distribution of food, pagdating sa taking care of the frontliners, at pagdating dun sa kahit sa peace and order. So pati sila tinatawagan din na mag-volunteer and they usually volunteer. And even in the handling of not only the frontliners but even assisting hospitals and distribution of food at iba pa mga bagay-bagay, no? Yan yung isang yan yung isang tinitignan din ng ating mga teachers kasi DepEd is the largest bureaucracy right now in government. We have 1 million, almost 1 million personnel and teachers. At lahat yan minomobilize na rin ng mga local government units, particularly in areas where there is already enhanced quarantine. Yan yung nangyayari ngayon. So those are the things that are bothering our teachers, our parents, and even our learners. In terms naman sa learners, dahil nagkaroon tayo ng what they call this disruption or suspension of classes, we really made a quick a quick launch of an online platform we call the DepEd Commons. No, yan yung sinimulan natin. Kaya by uploading by making live the DepEd Commons, kahit na hindi pa ito perfect, hindi pa ito naayos, kulang-kulang pa, marami pang mga shortcomings. Pero dahil naka-quarantine na lahat at kailangan na masagot pa natin yung 2, 3, or 4 weeks of classes na na-suspend, enough na namin. And we're glad to have done that. From about 3 weeks now or 4 weeks, we already have a 4.2 million unique users. And this is unprecedented. We did not expect to have this kind of unique users. And I think this will double up because Globe has granted us free access on DepEd Commons. So when today we are announcing to the public na kapag subscriber ka ng Globe at saka TM, you can use DepEd Commons kahit wala kang load. Hindi ka na matcha-charge ng load. So imagine, 4.2 million already accessing DepEd Commons with load. How much more kung walang load? Magti-triple, baka magdoble, triple pa ito. And I think we have made that right decision there of uploading it. And in the process now, kandara pa naman kami ngayon, sa pag-upload ng mga contents at saka sa mga pag-train pa ng mga teacher, gumawa pa ng mga content. So tuloy-tuloy yan. And I hope everybody will contribute to that.
Copy, sir. Thank you so much. I think we can also touch on commons later and all the different adjustments you're trying to do. Sa commons din po, I think that's reflective yung 4 million visits to the public really looking for something to help them in these times, no? Mark, I know you don't have kids, but I do want to talk to you about about being an educator yourself. Uh,
Yeah.
what challenges do you see in terms of, well, let me rephrase that. Do you see a big difference in challenges for those who are teaching and those who are or teaching their kids directly? What challenges do you see as an educator yourself?
Okay, good morning everyone. So ngayon po, for the past month, kami sa Globe, most especially sa education team, we are doing a lot of interviews sa mga public and private schools natin all over the Philippines. And most of the sentiments that people would give would be they don't have parang connectivity at home, so it's very difficult to do online learning classes. But in terms of the major challenges aside from connectivity, it would be like the onboarding of the students and the teachers to online learning, because this is something that really has to be focused if we want to shift to online learning in the next couple of months. Because yun nga po, hindi naman lahat ng mga kaguruan natin, especially our students, have connectivity at home. So siguro in the future we'll coordinate with our LGUs or the other institutions that would be willing to provide those types of facilities and connectivity so that everyone would have access to learning. Also, another problem or challenges na nakikita namin dito is that if the quarantine continues, yun nga po, mauusog yung start ng classes. At saka, isa pa nga sa mga fears ng mga educators would be, even if they are parents, even if they are teachers, masasabi ba natin na safe yung environment na ginagalawan ng mga bata, lalo na ng mga guro natin kapag nagsimula na yung pasok. So those are some of the problems that we have heard from our teachers and from our parents as well.
Yeah, it looks like we're approaching a new normal, Mark, no? Excuse me. And I think I think we all have some inputs on best practices, but I want to ask everyone, all the panelists, this question before we go to best practice. Uh, in these unfamiliar times, you learn stories about parents and educators trying different things and using the trial and error method. Kasi kapaan nga, di ba? Anything you have tried, you've heard people try that you thought was effective, but it turns out it's not effective at this time. Mark, maybe you could start. We go the other way.
Okay. A lot of people would assume that every teacher would have the competency to connect to the internet and would have the access to learning platforms. So for the DepEd, we have the Learning Commons. So it's a repository of all activities from K to 12. So nandun po yung lesson plans natin, even the plantilla. However, meron pa rin pong mga teachers, even in the tertiary level, who do not exactly know how to use the email. So usually kapag ang setup po natin ay asynchronous, which means isi-send natin sa mga bata yung mga documents, tapos yung mga bata ay magsasagot. May mga teachers pa rin po na hindi marunong mag-attach. So basic skill po yun, ha. And there will also be teachers and students as well na kumbaga parang they would want to do video calls. Pero yun nga po, pagdating sa video calls, it's very difficult to navigate yung mga particular tools na kailangan gamitin ng mga bata. So, those are some of the things na they tried. Sometimes, mahirap talaga na i-assume natin na mag-work yung mga ganong methods natin. So, I think the best way to address these problems would be making sure that as a group, we converge and make sure that we train them how to use tools.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Maybe you could weigh in also as parents. What are there interesting things that in terms of trying something tapos hindi pala yun yung solusyon? I am sure a lot of the viewers are looking what to try and what not to try.
So far we've tried online classes that includes both 5 to 7 years old para because we have limited screens also at home. So I cannot have two screens at the same time for two kids. So we've tried those classes. So far, it's been doing good. It's just that it's not something that they want to do every day. So I have to look for another one the following day or every other day sila mag-engage into an online class. So like if they did in Kinder Labs last week, so that's from 5 to 7 years old. And then they don't want to do it the following day. They wanted to do something else. So kailangan may hands-on work for the kids. So my kids kasi they want art, they like art. So mas maraming art class that we do at home. And then practical learning also. So for example, they see something in YouTube, a how-to. So we start doing it also. So mas maraming crafts and arts and crafts right now. And then alternate lang because may sawa factor then for them to like go into online classes every day.
Got it. Go ahead, Ginger. Any insights?
Yeah. For me naman, Miguel, nakakatawa. Kasi when we first tried this out, so naglagay ako ng small desk for Zika, tapos may maliit siyang chair doon. So sabi ko, baka kailangan gawin ko siyang parang classroom setting. Kasi 'di ba, she's used to like sitting in a classroom, tapos may teacher, so nandito yung laptop sa harap niya. What I've noticed is when she's at home, or she's a type of learner pala na more kinesthetic. So mahilig siyang gumalaw-galaw tapos mag-absorb ng information. So yun yung na-realize ko as parents na even if may tools dyan, you still have to be observant of how your kid learns, no, in a particular environment. Like at home, naa-absorb niya pag tumatakbo-takbo siya around. So, may isang time nga nagalit ako sa kanya kasi akala ko malikot siya. So, like, malikot siya na wala siyang naa-absorb. And then, na-realize ko that she learns best when she's moving. So, ngayon, parang hinahayaan ko na lang siya kung nililipat siya from the chair to the couch. So, kasi yung idea ko of a classroom is like sitting and then dapat nandun ka lang. So, hindi pala ganon. So, that's one thing na parang tinest namin. And na-prove ko wrong for my daughter. So, maybe yung tip ko lang sa mga parents, try to observe your kids more at this point, no? And hindi naman necessarily kung paano ginagawa sa classroom. Yun din yung gawin nila. Tapos another thing, yung daughter ko, na-realize ko lang kasi 'di ba may Zoom calls sila. Meron pa rin kasi silang Zoom calls sa school. Na-realize ko lang na pag sa classroom kasi, she can just approach her teacher and say, Miss, sir, can I please go to the bathroom? 'Di ba? So as little as that, so pwede siyang pumunta. But dito kasi, she's like anxious. Hindi niya alam if she should say it sa teacher or she should go to me. So yung mga minimal things like that na hindi natin naiisip na ay, yun pala yung iniisip ng anak natin. So, yun lang. Ang tip ko talaga, like, there are a lot of things, no? Maybe hindi ko pa nadanasan talaga lahat, no, ng pwedeng possibilities, pero be observant of your kids also when they're at home and they're learning from home.
Yeah, I think you touched on something very important in that you as a mother, an active mother in your child's education, kumakapa ka na.
Mm-mm.
Also, mas lalo nang kumakapa din. Diba?
Yes.
Yusek, I wanted to get your views on this, and matagal ko nang gusto din tanongin to. It's very different in the public school sector, as most of the public is really has their attention on being either a frontliner or be part of a skeleton, trying to protect themselves. And sometimes education might not be the parents' priority at this time. As important as it is, sometimes the level of urgency might be changing. In the landscape of public schools po, what do you think are the biggest challenges or difficulties of parents now and the learners?
Of course, ang tingin palagi dyan, pag tinignan mo yung pamilya na naka-quarantine, ang una nilang problem dyan is, of course, food. No? That's the most basic item that they need to address is the food that they would be eating 3 times a day. So nakapokus sila doon. No? Pag na-solve mo kaagad yung food at alam mong secure ka pagdating sa pagkain, yung susunod mo doon ng problem siguro ng mga parents ay what to do with the kids, no? What would make up their time of having 24 hours a day kasama mo yung mga kids sa bahay, hindi kayo umaalis, nandun kayo lahat. So talagang challenge sa parents na bigyan yung mga kids, yung mga children ng gagawin nila. Kaya in that aspect, we try to imagine ano yung pwedeng gamitin ng mga estudyante o ng mga learners na pwedeng itap ng mga parents. So that's basically the idea why we came out with the DepEd Commons, no? And this is also the thing that we ask our teachers to connect with the children na nung nag-start na yung quarantine para sa ganun ay may gawin pa rin yung mga bata sa pamilya, no? Kaya so we encourage them to read books, go back to their lessons, or explore DepEd Commons, or anything that the children can do while inside the house, no? Pagkakataon na ito bukod dun sa bonding ng pamilya, kung paano sila mag-usap, this is the time where they eat together and they are all in the house together. Wala naman choice nandun sila lahat no? Kaya't magiging madalas dito yung parenting talaga rito diretso na, at saka you don't have any reasons, you don't have a job, you don't go to work, hindi ka nagmamadali, no? Lahat ito puro relaxation, puro nandun ka lang sa loob ng bahay. So you schedule sa bahay. I have 2 kids and my 2 kids are all teenagers. Nung una nilimit namin yung internet, no? Dahil usually pag school days puro internet yan, research, kausap niyo yung mga kaklase, etc. Nilimit namin. Sabi namin, you have to work for some tasks at home and earn points to get some internet hours. So they started watering the garden, nagluluto, nagprepare ng pagkain, everything ginawa na namin ng paraan para sa ganun they also experience, and now they can now cook. Yun nga lang, minsan pagdating sa gabi may lumalabas ng kwarto, nagluluto na lang, no? Kasi nagugutom. But they have that kind of activity now, which dati wala yung opportunity gano'n dahil busy lahat sa magpahinga, magtrabaho, mag-aral, etc. No? So nagkaroon ng opportunity ngayon talaga during this quarantine na mag-explore ng other means. So we try to put that in a situation kung how do we now complement the parents in providing some education or basic education to their children. So yan yung talagang tinignan namin na baka ito pwede nating gawin. So no matter how imperfect it was or it is, pinasok na namin yung DepEd Commons kaagad. Parang platforms siya na pwedeng pick up dito si parents, pick up dito si teacher, pick up dito si learner, hanggang tuloy-tuloy yon at mukhang nangyari yon. And then they parang nagkaroon sila ng new toy, and in using that new toy they learn something, they went to their previous lessons, they read new ones. Yun na yung magtutuloy-tuloy. Hopefully we can do it better.
Yusek, follow-up question lang po. So madami po tayong iba't ibang solusyon for parents to start using as tools for remote learning. Is it realistic po to expect yung mga families na hindi naman po hands-on yung mga magulang? Is it realistic to expect that a student can be an independent learner today?
I think there are different kinds of parenting, no? Iba-iba naman yung style, no? Iba-iba ang character ng tao, iba-iba ang character ng couples, iba-iba ang character ng parents. There are some parents who will really spoon-feed their children, but there are some parents na basta magbasa ka, nandyan ang libro, nandyan yung computer, you do your own, no? So there are different styles of parenting, and I think the learners or the children, once you have given them something that would interest them, whether with the parents forcing them to do it or even the parents not minding them at all, they will be forced or they will be what do you call this? They will be really focused on that interest and explore that kind of interest. No?
Yeah.
Lalo na at this time because they have a lot of time to do that. They won't go outside. They will not be able to go to school o iba nandun lang sila sa bahay. Kaya kung ano yung interest na mapipick nila without cajoling from the parents, without the parents shouting at them to do this and do that, they will do the thing that would really interest them. So kung makita natin yon, yung interest na yon, at maibigay sa kanila, they'll do it. No, Iyon ang nakikita natin.
And ang tulad po ng sinabi niyo, madami pong iba't ibang paraan. We can just be creative also, no? I was looking at the different messages on Facebook and to your point, Yusek, ang dami daw gumagamit ng commons. Teachers are very grateful for that.
Thank you.
One thing that has been mentioned also is the Microsoft OneDrive has been very helpful. There's an interesting point here made from a teacher who shared that among their 50 students that the teacher tried to reach, only 10 can realistically access a computer or a mobile phone. So I guess it depends also on your community. Which brings me to my next point, no? This point we want to now start sharing ano yung mga effective tools that we can leave our viewers today. Mark, maybe from the tech expert in this session, maybe you could start.
Yeah. I prepared some slides for today. I'll be sharing you some tips lang for the teachers and also for the learners and for the parents also para they can maximize yung learning from home. Kasi nga, ang tendency kasi ngayon is just, of course, you let the student become self-sufficient and at the same time, parents collaborate with the teachers. O, ma'am, ano po yung pwede natin pagawa sa mga anak natin while on summer vacation. Pero this time kasi, yun nga, tama kayo, it's a very crucial time wherein parents and kids are bonding. So, nandun na perform yung values natin. But if we are going to say that this is going to be the new normal, we have to prepare at least some sort of an organized task. So, may I ask for the slide so that I can show the slides to our...
Yeah, while Mark is setting up also, I'd like to invite everyone, I think we're at 5,000 plus viewers now. We do want to get your questions coming in. There's a slight delay in Facebook, but please send those questions. We'll try to integrate it in the conversation. Go ahead, Mark.
Alright, so yung mga sinasabi natin na tools, these are what we call affordances. So these are the features and sets of characteristics or particular technologies, kahit anong kind of technology ba yan, that add value to the learning experience. So when we try to integrate yung technology natin, we have to consider three things, right? The first one would be the pedagogy, the second one would be the curriculum, and the third one would be the tech tools. It's not necessary na tech tools muna kasi ang technology naman po hindi naman siya replacement to pedagogy. At the end of the day, if you are a good teacher, you can run the class. But a good teacher can be replaced by another teacher who is proficient with technology skills. So yun po yung ano natin. So we have to make sure that we train the teachers as well in putting all these tools and pedagogy and curriculum together. So in terms of integration po, I'd like to mention also that we have a framework. This one, we can share this with you. So this is what we call the SAMR model for tech integration. So S stands for substitution. So kumbaga sa kape, isang black coffee lang siya. A is augmentation. We want to add more. So maglalagay tayo ng gatas, magiging latte siya. Pag yung M naman, modification, yung latte natin, yung kape na may gatas, lalagyan natin ng konting caramel. O kaya parang 3-in-1 na siya na merong flavor. Tapos yung R naman is your definition. So this is the creation of the new task. So yung 3-in-1 natin, lalagyan pa natin siya kunwari ng kakaibang flavor. So as Filipinos, we are very much innovative in making sure that our activities are varied. So ito yung for tech integration naman in the classroom or in the online classroom. So we can reinvent and reinvent. Wala naman pong masama na i-try ang mga bagay-bagay sa panahon na to, because at the end of the day, the goal is for kids to learn. I also have here a learning at home schedule. So you will see there yung mga bagay na pwede niyong gawin. So say for example, for Monday, you have a video activity. Meron din kayong activity on what to do, application, then there's homework. So these are for the teachers. So looking at the next slides, you will see different types of weekly learning schedules. Because I also prepared some worksheets on comparing and contrasting. So this is the time that you can maximize the technology that is available. Also, you have here parang worksheet on senses for those with younger kids. So what are the senses? 5 senses. So para hindi naman ma-feel ng mga bata na malayo sila sa mga magulang nila or sa mga classmates nila or sa teachers nila. And then for those who would want to invest into reading, so since reading is the most important academic skill, ayan. So meron tayong my reading goals. So meron siyang pages read, tapos ilan yung hours, what are the words na natutunan ng bata, mga salita. So these are the chapters also, i-indicate natin siya dito. So here are some tips also for people who would like to maximize remote learning or learning from home. So first, you have to understand that the first tip that we want to give is to make a plan. So the school and the teacher will prepare your lessons, but it will be good also if you will plan. So for the parents po, and for the learner, if you will plan ahead, how will you be studying at home? Of course, number 2, you have to make a sheet and then take some notes. So yung notes natin will help us remember the things that we need to do as a learner. So eventually makakapag-review tayo. So moving forward, if we want to make sure na ang learning natin ay magiging conducive at magiging effective, dapat meron tayong sheet or mga notes. And then also, we have to take a break as well. Kasi tayo nga na nag-work from home, napapagod tayo sa mga schedules natin, sa mga meetings natin, how much more itong mga bata. So yung routine natin, mga nanay at mga tatay, pwede natin silang bigyan ng 5-minute break, parang recess nila. For the teachers, ganoon din po, mag-take din tayo ng breaks kasi naiintindihan ko rin po yung struggle ng pagtuturo at paggawa ng lessons. Hindi po madali, lalo na yung conditions natin ngayon. And then of course, some of the teachers are also parents. So yung next po is be proud of the achievements that you have. Kasi yun nga, parang studying at home is not easy. Kasi palagay tayo sa bahay, relax tayo, we have to reward our small successes. So, siguro pag tapos na yung araw natin, watch a movie, o makipagkwentuhan tayo sa mga anak natin, yung mga anak natin, have to push them to share their stories as well, kung kamusta yung araw nila. Kamusta nila. And then of course, maximize the time also by doing one thing at a time. So, hindi naman po pwedeng sabay-sabay. So one lesson after the other and make sure that we do one assignment before the other. Lesson multitasking kasi hindi naman to ganun ka-effective also for the kids. Kasi ang kids po natin, medyo shorter yung attention span nila. And then of course, make a routine. So yung last po natin is to make a routine. Treat your day as if you're going to school talaga. Parang pumapasok pa rin po tayo. So get up, take a shower, have breakfast, kumain po tayo, and make sure na magpalakas. This goes for the teachers and the students kasi ang mga guro po natin, may pamilya din silang inaalala, naghahanap din sila ng pagkain everyday. Kung ano yung danas nila, yun din po yung danas natin lahat. At mas malaki pa. So, maraming salamat po sa opportunity na to share all these ideas to you. I think our moms also have to share something, Miguel.
Yeah, I'll get to the moms also. But Mark, baka pwedeng ilagay natin yan sa commons.
Yes, of course.
A lot of the viewers now will be hindi nakapag-screenshot. We could send it
We will share the presentation to everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Sir Elaine, looking forward to hearing about the different solutions you might have right now and upcoming before I go to the parents.
Yes. When we launched the DepEd Commons about 3 weeks ago, or even 4 weeks ago, ang framework pa lang namin noon ay we are addressing the National Capital Region. Kasi ito yung ECQ lang at the time. Remember na una yung Metro Manila. And when we focus on Metro Manila, we know that the penetration of the internet and cell phones in Metro Manila is almost 100%. So doon kami nag-focus muna Metro Manila. Kaya nung nilaunch yan, ang target talaga dyan is how to deliver basic education through the cell phones and through the internet in Metro Manila. And we have about almost 100% audience for that. Okay. So ngayon, nung kumalat na yung lumaki yung quarantine at Luzon and other areas, we found out also that the different regions have started also accessing the DepEd Commons. Hindi nga NCR ang pinakamataas pagdating sa DepEd Commons. It's Region 4A. Oh, that's the highest number of unique users. Oh. Kaya nung tinignan namin, it's becoming national now. So we try to make enhancements. Ngayon, konti pa lang yung mga content na nandyan at they are not as perfect as they should be. But these are the things that we would want to do. For example, whenever we upload digital contents in DepEd Commons, we would want that the learners, the children, and the teachers would be able to rank those materials a star ranking, parang 1 star to 5 stars. No? Pag ginamit mo, i-rank mo siya. 1 ba siya? 3 ba siya or 5 ba siya? Both the children and the teachers will be ranking the material so that we will have a evaluation by the peers and by the users. No, that's one thing that we would want to do. And also, because these materials have been uploaded because of the shortness of time or the urgency that we need to upload them, hindi pa nabe-vet lahat yan ng aming curriculum and instruction strand. So they would also be given a star, for example, a green star that would be put there. Pag may green star, sabihin nila, oh, vetted na yan ng curriculum and instruction. You can even put there a purple star that would say, oh, it's vetted by the legal strand in terms of legal use of all these materials, okay na rin siya. So all this, if you combine all these ratings and vettings, you would have a fair evaluation of the materials by the experts, the curriculum and instruction, by the legal minds, if there will be no infringements in copyrights, by the users, the children, and by the teachers who made them. So, pag kumalat yan at lahat ng materials, may ratings na ganyan, alam na nung parent, alam na nung bata kung ano yung isi-select niyang material kasi na-vet na o na-rating na nung iba. At in the process din, ang mga teachers naman natin ay gagawa ng magagandang materials because they would want to have that kind of rating and have that kind of vetting. And in the process, ang DepEd naman, we would want to convert these ratings and this number of users into some kind of points which the teachers can do for promotion, for priority in the distribution of equipment, for preferences in capacity buildings or trainings in different parts of the country or even in the world. Kaya magkakaroon talaga siya ng tawag natin dito dynamic na process from the teacher to the learners and even coming from DepEd officials or coming from competent sources. No? Kaya, so imagine having a DepEd Commons that would have that kind of feature. That is the kind of the DepEd Commons that we would want to produce within the next few months. Siyempre, hindi naman overnight yan. Isa-isa natin yan. Even parents would be able to even rate the material. So we would be, siguro sabihin na natin, after several months, then we could find a DepEd Commons that would have been evaluated by the teachers, by the competent authorities, and even by the parents and by the learners. And we would have that. Parang trip advisory, parang ganyan. O parang sa eBay. If you're satisfied with the services, you give them 5 stars. And then may mga comments din yan for the improvement of those materials. So
And
lahat
then,
yan.
I think Yusek, you're also sharing that to put a social aspect to the platform so that mas yung searchability niya and the
Yes.
reputation of content
Yes.
na highlight po
Oo.
siya. Uh,
That's right. That's right. No.
Sir, Commons, is it, I was looking at the questions on the thread. Is Commons available not just for teachers but also parents and the general public?
Yes, we are going towards that. Kaya nung una nga sabi ko, NCR pa lang yan, tapos naging Luzon. Tapos dati public schools lang. O ngayon, sinama na natin yung private schools. Eh, lumaki pa lalo ngayon dahil ang access mo ngayon sa DepEd Commons, pag Globe or TM subscriber ka, libre na. O, so, there's no more question now of wala kaming load. O, hindi kayo makakapasok dyan, wala kaming load. Eh ngayon, ang question na lang dyan is, may cellphone kami. At ang penetration ng cellphone sa Pilipinas is 153%. No? Households will have 2 or more cellphones. So, but in number of households, siguro mga kanyan, mga 70 to 73%. So may naiiwan pa tayong 30% na kinakailangan na maidala natin doon yung basic education dahil yan yung walang internet, walang connectivity at walang cellphones. And I think that is where TV, television, and radio would come in. We would really propose to having an educational channel, no, that will be a regular free TV channel, analog, na magpe-penetrate dun sa remaining 30%. No? Tingin natin, lahat ng dun sa remaining 30%, halos marami doon may TV pa rin. Yung mga walang TV at may radyo naman. So yung radio and TV na yon ang kailangan natin i-deliver doon. But it becomes the base from the city to the countryside, yung TV. And then you have internet, you have DepEd Commons on sa ibang mga area na meron namang signal ang mga telecommunications company.
I think dagdag tulong din po yun. There were some messages in the trail asking what the DepEd framework is outside of communities na connected to the internet. So malaking tulong po yun for the students and the parents. I'd like to hear from the parents. Mitch, in your circles of parents, any useful input you could share?
I actually also had a slide prepared on our life in quarantine now and what has been working so far, because as you've mentioned, I'm also working from home, so it's kind of very difficult to have to teach kids and then at the same time do your work with them. So if we can pull up the slides also, so I can share some of the things we've learned so far in this quarantine and some of the things that my co-parents have shared also with me that they do also at home. So right now, our life in the quarantine so far is that we have tons of play. Second slide is there. So those are my 2 kids. So there's tons of art, tons of play, and a lot of practical and applied learning. So as I've mentioned, my kids are into art so much. So they do a lot of freehand drawing or painting and coloring. And then there's tons of play because it's their summer vacation anyway. So I let them have that time. Third most important is that there's a lot of practical and applied learning. So what I've learned with my children now is since they've started this quarantine or this summer vacation, they don't like to treat the house as an extended classroom. My son would always say, "Mommy, why would you always want to pretend that we're in a classroom?" So I have to change the way it's felt by them. So these are just the next slide will share with us some of the tips that I can share with the parents, things that I've learned also personally while we are in this more than 30 days of quarantine. Number 1 is I keep them busy. So while I'm busy with my work for the day, I also make sure that they have something to do, whether it's a worksheet or an activity book or an online class that they will be attending to, or coloring books, or a movie day for them. So that's something that they can do. Second, if you see there, is you also let them be bored. So I don't fill their days with activities nonstop from the time they wake up to the time they sleep. So there are days where it's a lazy day. So they will not do anything and they can do whatever they want. So it's a free day for them. And I've noticed that if it's a free day for them, that they become more creative. No gadgets, no TV. They start using their toys, and then I see them putting up camps or putting up their own grocery store inside their playroom. So they become more creative. Third is that I allow them to help you. So since I'm work from home, we live in a yaya-less and helper-less house. So it's the chores are shared between me and my husband. So I let them also start helping out. So sometimes it's messy, but they learn to sweep the floor. My son has started learning to wash the dishes because I won't go inside the room because I'm still doing something. So he said, "Mommy, I'll wash the baso na." So when I checked, it's actually washed perfectly. So natuto sila because of me allowing them or us allowing them to actually help us out. Fourth is that we give them a job. So we have a no work, no play rule in the house right now, 'di ba? So parang because we are also working, they have two parents working from home. They have a no work, no play thing at home. So merong sweeper, merong taga-fix ng bed. So if you fix the bed every day, you get 30 minutes of your gadget time. So that's the salary or that's the payment that you get for working at home. So we do that. And fifth is that because my kids are also in Catholic schools, so we pray with them. We don't just let them pray on their own. We actually pray together, like before they sleep. Or sometimes I also am part of a community, Youth for Christ, Singles for Christ, and Couples for Christ. So there's an online praise fest. So I let my kids join that. So they get to experience worship and prayer also at their very young age. And lastly, I let them be kids. Um, they just pray, they just play, they just do whatever they want. They enjoy their day. So on the third slide, I just like to share how parents and teacher can collaborate at this time. No? So for like next slide please. For La Salle and for St. Paul, they both have learning management system that we've been using since the start of the school year. So they upload activities that we can do at home. That can also help guide the parents on what to do. Online classes are so much available also. It's just that what I've noticed so far is that most of the online classes that you can see are mostly for children, for preschool children. So that's my dilemma now because I have a 7-year-old who's going to third grade and then in this coming school year. So iba na rin yung interest na hinahanap niya. So I am looking for more content that can help them out. And then third, like what Yusek said, no, learning apps and content that is available not only online but also on TV. I remember when we were younger, we have a lot of TV content such as Hiraya Manawari, e-Skwela, where we get to learn so many things outside of school. So the learning also is extended without necessarily making us feel that we're in a school inside the house. So I guess that's something that that can help us more as parents because the challenge also is that not all parents are equipped to have the patience to teach also their children. You know, teaching is a vocation that is different. Iba talaga siya. You are very gifted if you are a teacher. I was raised by a mom who's a teacher. So the patience to teach is really something. And not all parents are equipped to have that. So the more tools that can be provided, like what DepEd is doing now or what Mark has shared with us, will actually make parents like me more confident in actually teaching our children or helping them learn from home while we are all in this situation. Para when what we don't want kasi to happen is when we go back to school, nakalimutan na nila yung lessons nila from the last school year, which is normally what happens on a regular summer vacation. But now that it's kind of longer, the challenge is even bigger for us to ensure that the lessons are there, it's stuck, and they've actually learned something, and that they see it every day. So from planting to mathematics to even Filipino. So yeah, we started learning Filipino also in school and at home. So mas nagtatagalog na kami now sa bahay kasi mas mahirap siya because there's no more content. It's also Filipino. So that's something also that can help us as parents. So those are just the 3 slides that I wanted to share with everybody because we believe that learning always starts at home. So it's always a practical parenting for me and my husband when we teach our children or when we do parenting with our children.
Sorry, naka-mute pala ako. Thank you, Mitch. Mitch, ang ganda ng sinabi mo that I think it's refreshing for the viewers also to share that it's okay for the kids to be kids and to allow them to be bored because I think this really triggers them to start something and learn organically yung uupuin mo and you need to learn something because mommy says it's learning time. And I think that's really that's something new that a lot of our viewers try. Thank you, Mitch. Ginger, maybe we can close with you on the. I think you have a deck that you'd like to share very quickly as well.
Yes. Miguel, this is like snippets of our lives lang here, So pictures na yan namin ni Zika. So but I wanted to share like some tools. Sige, can we go to the next slide? Kasi there. So this was Zika's actually first Zoom call. Okay, talking about Zoom, a lot of people kasi are using Zoom now. So and I think they've addressed naman their security issues, no? So let's not forget lang siguro as parents that we need to, syempre kailangan nakatutok rin kahit papano, no? Like we check on them as well, like intermittently kung hindi naman kayang all the time na nandyan ka. Kasi syempre privacy is still something that we want to share also with our kids, no, that we have to protect our privacy. Sa akin kasi my daughter is just 7, so parang ever since 4, kasi she's been using yung iPad, I've been establishing already yung foundations then of telling her na basta pag may nag-ask ng address wag ibibigay, or pag nag-ask kung ano yung school mo or ilang taon ka na, don't share yung mga personal information mo. So, let's not forget lang as parents, dahil nga exposed na sila sa digital tools like this, no, we have to protect their privacy as well. Okay, sige, next slide. And then this is what we use. So sa school naman ni Zika, we use Google Classroom. Just like what Mitch said, no, before pa itong pandemic, no, that happened, or this enhanced quarantine, no, we already had this tool for mga bagyo. So maybe like schools can also have that already, be prepared for any instances like this moving forward. I'm sure lahat tayo nabigla dito, no? But at least now we know, and at least we now have the tools like DepEd and Globe and all of these institutions are actually sharing with us, no? So yan, so that's Google Classroom. They can already turn in yung mga homework nila dyan. They can also talk to their teachers dyan. Okay, and then next slide. So some assignments, no, I don't have a printer at home. So some teachers also might think na we parents have all of the tools na kailangan nila, like art paper or paper. Actually, wala akong paper dito for some reason. Naghahanap ako ng bond paper. Wala pala akong bond paper. So mga mga nagamit na namin before na bond paper. Wala rin kaming printer. So whenever you create yung curriculum nyo, or is that the right term, Mark? No, curriculum. No, whenever they create a plan for their students, baka naman keep in mind na not all of us parents have like printers, have all of these materials on hand. So for digital tools naman, I think this is isang magandang best practice that one of their teachers have, no. Meron silang typing class kasi. So it's typing.com. So parents can actually, hindi naman siya paid. So it's a free tool that they can use as well. Kung gusto nila like matuto yung kids nila on how to type, lalo yung mga ka-age ng anak ko, no, hindi pa masyadong marunong gumamit. So typing.com. Sige, next slide please. And then meron din silang ginagamit na another app. It's called Seesaw. So for example, PE, 'di ba? Paano kayo magpi-PE? Pwede naman mag-exercise sila sabay-sabay sa Zoom. Pero what yung PE teacher does is nagbibigay siya ng a set of instructions via video, and then gagawin na lang ng students, and then isa-submit. And then this one also for Filipino, pwede rin siyang gamitin na parang dun ka na magko-color kung wala ka namang crayon. So may ganung feature tong Seesaw. Okay, next please. Another is this was not from the school, no, it was not like mandated or it was not asked for us to visit, no, but I saw this online. It's called Brainpop Junior. Brainpop Junior has different subjects na nandun as well, and then may different videos already, animated videos, so cartoons yung nagtuturo sa mga bata. So dito nga natuto si Zika mag-send ng email. Apparently ngayon sobrang ganado siyang gamitin ng email. So next slide please. Nakakatanggap na ako ng mga emails like this from her, no. Ay, sige, next slide. So meron siyang mga one-liners na, "Mommy, I love you." Ayan. Ewan ko kung nakikita ng viewers natin. So dito siya natuto mag-email. So it's good to note also, nung nag-test siya, kami lang yung nasa address book niya. So para lang until she figures out like how to use the system. She also through this app also natuto din siya ng Boolean, basics of Boolean coding, ano pa ba, camera, using camera. So ganun, maganda yung app. Ayan. So another thing that we do, meron pa ba, like include ko ba? Sige, next slide please. Okay. So another thing which I posted on Instagram today, if parents, no, they have kids na mahilig magbasa, there's this thing called Globe e-Library. So what we do every evening, kami ni Zika before she goes to sleep, is we go through the books at Globe e-Library. You can check it out. I posted it on my Instagram account as well. So si Zika doon nagbabasa ng mga books. May mga Filipino, she's not good ngayon kasi 'di ba? Syempre sa nakikita nila sa YouTube puro English. So hindi siya masyadong magaling magsalita ng Filipino. So but what we do is we have like Filipino Wednesdays also to encourage her to try to figure out how to speak in Filipino. Another thing pala, no, tama yung sinasabi ni Mitch na don't stop them from being kids, because sometimes, you know, in the most unexpected places, like for example, she plays Roblox, okay? So binabantayan naman namin kasi may mga Roblox account din kami ng dad niya, no, ni EJ. So napansin namin meron siyang mga international friends. So meron siyang Korean. So yesterday, it's so funny, nung tinitignan ko, syempre from afar, no, tinitignan ko, nag-Google Translate siya. So tinatry niyang i-translate yung English sa Korean, tapos kinakopy niya yung word na what dun sa chat box nila. So it's very iba na, like for parents now, iba na yung mundo. We really need to understand like how all of these digital tools work. Yes, obviously we still need to explore, maybe not now, no, like have them explore outside, the world outside. But in terms of exploring, we also need to keep in mind that even with digital tools, no, we can have them explore beyond this, no, beyond your home, no. They can explore, they can talk to people online, they can learn from other people. But yun nga, always just be there for them for guidance and always also protect them, no. That's it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ginger. I hope the viewers, I think we're almost at 6,000 viewers, guys. I hope everyone has a notebook because medyo madaming learnings from Mark to Mitch to Ginger to Yusek, and all talking about many different ways to be creative online. Yusek, Elaine, maybe we can close with you. There are some questions that maybe i-consolidate ko lang po, and then perhaps you could give the final word. One of the things I keep seeing is, what about those with special needs? Some parents, can they start contributing to commons?
Yeah.
I think may nagkakaroon na ngayon ng bayanihan if people know where the platforms are.
Yes, actually, that's one of the things that we would want to do. To reach out to special kids and use all kinds of accessibility tools so that the delivery of basic education will be for all, no? Para lahat yan masagot natin. I would like to put in some concept na dati kasi our tools are only stones, no? And through the use of stones we create fire, and through the use of fire we can cook our food and so forth and so on. Technology is just nothing but tools, no? Dati, ang karpentero mo gumagamit ng martilyo, pupukpukin yung pako. Ngayon, you have a power tool. You could drill right away the nail and use all these power tools. That is the role of technology. Technology would be new tools. No, we might not have changed the curriculum or the contents or the learnings or the ideas, etc. But we will have new tools. No, and this quarantine period has given us a new time or a new way of seeing things that we should be preparing for this kind of situations in the next few months, no? Because COVID-19 will not go away. No, we might flatten the curve, but COVID-19 will always be there, just like dengue, just like chickenpox, and just like measles, no? So we may need to prepare for that. Kaya sabi nga namin, we might have to review the tools that we have because not all power tools can be distributed up to the last household, up to the last school in our country. So we might need to review our policies when it comes to televisions and to radios, and make this as the general platform upon which to build other technologies so that we could really deliver the education that we need to do. Especially, ito yung binabalikan namin na pagtingin. Why have we all of a sudden, what they call this, abdicated the role of television in character formation, in delivery of education? Why don't we have in the Philippines a free TV that would focus on character building, that would focus on the delivery of education? There's none. All our free TVs are commercial in nature, but the character formation and the character building focus there is missing. We may have a people's television, a government-owned television, but the focus there is news and delivery of government services. We might as well go back to our framework of how we deliver basic education, character formation, and core value building through the usage of television. And we might have to review our what you call our platform for that. No,
Yeah.
technology would boost that kind of perspective or that kind of direction that we need to undertake.
Yes, I couldn't have closed it better. Thank you po, Yusek Elaine. I think just to wrap up, no. Firstly, I want to thank everyone for your time. Thank you for all the viewers who stayed. I think we've been stable at 5,000, which is quite amazing, no. I think we help add value to a lot of these people today. Thank you, Sir Yusek, for your time. For the public sector, the parents. Thank you so much for sharing all your insights, and of course the private sector. Mark, thank you for your insights on the tech side. To close, I think what we learned today, we're looking at the new normal, and there are certain things we have to give importance to now. Firstly, is the parents and teachers need to collab. I think that's one of the most important takeaways now. Creativity is also important. It's not about forcing the environment of the classroom to the home. It's really about learning together on what the best way is and stick to it until the next best thing would come. The importance of understanding your tools and how best to use it. And lastly, to close, we can't do it alone. USEC can't do it alone. The parents also need support. The private sector needs to know where to, how best to support. And I think this kind of platform is a one step forward, a big step forward for everyone. So with that, thank you again for everyone's time. Let's all stay safe, practice social distancing, and I wish everyone a very good morning. Maraming salamat.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Salamat.
Salamat po, Yusek.
Thank you.